Psalm 32 brings a word to you who are carrying a huge, very heavy burden of guilt for things you have done that you repent, that if you had the chance, you would like to go back and not do them. Psalm 32 says, "Blessed is he whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered." Blessed, which means happy, the one who achieves forgiveness, the one whose sin is resolved, is covered, washed, and eliminated from their history, per se. Blessed is the man to whom the Lord does not impute iniquity, and in whose spirit there is no deceit. In other words, there is no hypocrisy, no lie, lack of sincerity. If there's one thing God despises, it's hypocrisy, pretense, are the ornaments that the person puts on to look better. I'm not speaking literally, but figuratively, the ornaments that make their appearance better, that they may look righteous from good, that they may seem to be right, once their ornaments are just covering the reality, who they really are. God despises hypocrisy, lies, deceit, pretense, and these people have no place in the presence of God because they are already condemned by themselves, because the person who deceives is committing an act of unbelief. Why? Because they think they can escape in the eyes of God. They are stating that God does not exist, because they can deceive a human being who has limited knowledge. You can fool myself, someone else, because they don't know your heart. They don't see you in secret, so you can fool them. But you can't fool God, because He sees it all. And when they deceive, even though God is aware of what they are doing, they are saying one of these two things: I don't care what the Lord thinks of me, or God does not exist. And what matters is what others think about me, because God does not exist. And therefore, deceit, hypocrisy is an act of unbelief. So the person condemns themselves not because God does not want to help them, but because they deny their faith, they deny God. Because if they did, they would believe, they would have fear of deceiving, on doing things before the eyes of God. Blessed is the man whom the Lord does not impute iniquity, and in whose spirit there is no deceit. So David talks about how he solved his guilt problem, his hidden sin. We all know that David covered his sin, his adultery with Bathsheba for a while. He kept the sin for many months, and he acted as if nothing had happened. So I will arrange the death of Bathsheba's husband, I'll get married with her, and everything will go well. Everybody will think that she got pregnant when we were already married. So he covered his sin for a long time. But what happened while he was doing that? In the eyes of others, apparently everything was fine. He even had done a great favor. Uriah his faithful soldier. Look how praiseworthy is what King David did to not leave his wife alone. He got married with her. In the eyes of men, he had solved the problem, but inwardly he carried more than one weight. Look what he said. When I kept silent, my bones grew old through my groaning all the day long. It seems that in months he aged years. And the same happens to people who sin. Sin ages a person. Sin sucks the life of a person. You see youths out there who live a sinful life as if they were old. They look old, with their lives with no energy, with no strength, as if they were at the end of their lives. And you see people at a certain age, they even have wrinkles, but their faces shine. Their steps are strong. People who exude life, vigor, because they live in the light. Sin ages, sin weighs on the person. Sin bends the person, literally. It bends, so much so that the person starts to walk bending themselves, downcast, whether bending forward or backwards, when they keep a stiff upper lip. When they have the mask of deceit, sin pulls the head of the person backwards that they may keep a upper stiff lip to seem that they are well, but only they know what is happening inwardly. For day and night your hand was heavy upon me. My vitality was turned into the drought of summer. His vitality became dry. Do you know a dry person who has nothing to give? The person is living as if they are drunk all the time, with no expression, nothing to offer. So was David's spiritual condition while he covered up his sin. But he concludes saying, I acknowledged my sin to you, finally. I acknowledged my sin to you and my iniquity I have not hidden. I said, I will confess my transgressions to the Lord, and you forgave the iniquity of my sin. So, the solution for that weight that David was bringing inside was the confession, that is, pulling off the mask, to cleanse himself and say, I did this. I did it. I won't lie anymore. I won't hide it. I'm ready to pay the price. There, as much shame as he brought to himself, he arrived at the time of the restoration of his own life, when he pulled off the mask. And it is important for you who are carrying this huge guilt. You are afraid, thinking, when they find out what I've done, what happened, when they learn what I did, you are preparing to escape, you're preparing to escape the consequences, not to face, rather, but to escape the consequences of sin, of shame. Why don't you prepare yourself to join forces to cleanse yourself? Why don't you do that? Will you keep on running away from men? You can even run away from men. But where are you going to run away from God? Where are you going to run away from yourself? Tell me. Will you be able to sleep, to have peace with yourself at some point? Will you be able to run away from your bones? How can you run away from your bones that are aging, getting dry? So why don't you grow some courage to confess your sin to God and to who you must confess your sin to? But maybe you say, but the shame, I will lose this or that. This is your main problem, is that you think that the things you will lose by confessing your sin are greater and more valuable and more important than your salvation and your personal peace. This is your problem. The day you overcome that, you will overcome this problem. If today's video helped you and you know someone that could benefit from it, share it with them, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you may do so now. See you later.